Hi, my name is Will, and today is the most important day of my life so far because today I'm taking another step, another 24 hours towards beating binge eating and living a healthier lifestyle. And today what I wanted to talk about were the things for me that trigger my binge eating. I've been a binge eater for as long as I can remember. I have memories of sneaking downstairs and binge eating when I was a kid, sneaking into the pantry. And so this is something that's very real for me, very raw, very difficult, honestly, to talk about on camera, but I feel like it's a bit therapeutic to kind of get it out. And I should just preface this before I even give you anything off my list and tell you that I don't really have a solution to all this at this point. I feel like recognizing the situations is important and maybe is the first step into solving the problem. But, you know, my number one trigger is that there is no trigger. That is to say that when I binge eat, sometimes it just happens. It's just like this primal urge deep down, and my brain turns off. I just go and start eating. I go to the kitchen, I just start to stuff my face full of food, or I drive to the drive-thru and order a bunch of shit that I know deep down that I don't need, and for whatever reason is I don't think about it critically until I've resurfaced at the end feeling like crap. So it's a bit depressing to start off that way, but that's the reality, is that a lot of my binge eating is just part of like the rise and fall of the blood sugar cycle, I suppose. It's just like once you start, you don't stop. But other than just like the primal ones, there are some situations where I tend to binge more than other situations, one of which is just being bored. When I'm bored, I tend to eat. When I'm trying to relax at the end of a hard day, and especially in the evening times, I'm bored and I start to eat food. And I start, you're bored, you start walking around your house, you wander over to the pantry, you wander over to the fridge, and you eat some food. And that's a real big problem for me, is binging when I'm bored. Another and similar related is when I'm procrastinating, right? You're sitting at your desk, you're trying to get something done, and especially since a lot of my working time is preparing classes, I'm a freelance teacher here in Germany, or editing videos for my other YouTube channel. I find myself bored. I get up again, walk around, walk to the pantry. Hey, look, there's a giant bowl of cereal. Sausage, I eat some sauce, like whatever the hell is there, binge eating, I guess that's the point. You just kind of eat whatever the hell is available. Another big one for me is when I'm already in the kitchen and I'm cooking dinner for myself, for Marie and me, and the food's there waiting for me, right? I'm cooking spaghetti, or I'm cooking whatever, chicken breast and green beans, whatever it is I'm cooking. I'm munching away while I do it. I've basically already had a pretty big dinner before I've even finished cooking what is actually dinner. And it's a horrible habit, but it just happens. It's one of the things that I'm fighting, one of the things I'm trying to be better at. But it's almost like when I'm cooking, I am bored. And one trick that I've used that kind of works is I take my iPad or my tablet or my laptop into the kitchen, and I watch something while I cook. I listen to something. I try to give my mind something to think about, except for I'm bored, I want to eat. And that kind of helps. And so I've reduced my number of binges with that strategy of giving myself something to think about and something to do while I'm cooking, while I'm bored, while I'm in that dangerous environment of the kitchen. And that brings me to the next point, is I binge sometimes because the food is lying around. One of my binging triggers is going shopping for food. Not specifically going shopping, but what happens afterwards, right? You get home, you have a full refrigerator, and I personally have no sense of pacing, right? If there's food in the fridge, I'm going to eat it. So if I buy myself food for a week, that's probably only going to really be food for 3 days, because I'll eat 4 days worth of food or 7 days worth of food in 3 or 4 days. And so having a full fridge, or having bad food in the house in the first place, having chips, having Snickers, having whatever, like large quantities of carbohydrates that are processed, bread, oh my gosh, that is in itself, having that in the house, specifically having that in the house in large quantities, is a trigger for me. And the last one is a little bit weird, but it's probably the most daunting for me, And when I think of my binge eating, this is the image that comes into my head, is driving. When I drive in the United States, there are fast food restaurants at every corner, and that is my weakness. And for me, binge eating is driving through a fast food restaurant and getting a meal and eating that salt, sugary, fatty goodness with a Dr. Pepper. That is my weakness. Double cheeseburgers. I'm not embarrassed. Well, I am embarrassed, but I feel like I have to say it. Driving is the ultimate binge eating trigger for me. That is what is the most tough. I'll talk probably more about that in another video, about what it really meant for me to go binging in a car.